Hello, guys. It's Thursday. It's Thursday. You know what that means? That means it's time for my cat to sit and bitch at me, but it's also Hi Harm. It's also ThoughtFLOW Thursday. You may notice the cat. She is, I don't even know what to say about this animal. This is absolutely ridiculous. Ooh, hi, everybody. It's so good to see everyone. I'm waving hello. Robin and Lindsay and Sissy and Annie. Oh, remember that reading rainbow lady? She would do this and like have the mirror with the outglass in it, and we were supposed to be swooning over it. Hi, Chuck. Hi, Kelly. Tonight's show is going to be a little different because my partner, my normal partner in parlance, is not here tonight, but I have another partner in parlance that's joining me this evening, and it is Mr. Martin Reid, and we have a guest that's joining him as well. So super excited about it, but in the meantime, I just want to say I'm super happy to be here, and I'm really glad I didn't get rained on, and I apologize if we lose power during the broadcast, but it's going to be coming down sideways here fairly shortly, thus my being inside. P.S. As COVID keeps me constrained in my house, you know, my new hobby is plants. For those of you who've not met George Jefferson, check him out. He's sexy business right here. This is George, and I have a smattering of other plants because I'm going to be that lady, the lady with the cats and the plants. It's happening. It's happening now. So I'm going to see where my friend Mr. Reid is. There he is. Let's see if we can bring him on screen. Again, thank you for joining us. Tonight we're talking about all things relationships, family, not quite so family. And there's my extra special guest, Martin and Alex Reid.
Yes.
We don't see Alex that often because she's often in hiding, but we love talking to her. And
Yes.
Coach Robin, if George could say hi, he would say hi, and he might get his arm going and walk away. But if the plant starts walking, I'm out of here. That's a different story altogether. Hi, guys. Happy Thursday.
Hey, Misty.
Hi.
Alex, this is not her thing, okay? So, like, where you and I do this, like, all the time, she's, like, the mastermind who's like, hey, do you want to do this? Hey, you should do this. So she's the brains behind the operation who does not like to be in front of the camera ever. So just a quick shout out to someone who has been trying to just balance, and I understand her wanting to bail out at every second because this isn't her thing. So yes, thank you.
I totally get it. Some people like to be in front of the camera. Others prefer to be behind the scenes. But even the behind the scenes people have things to say, including interesting stories about my friend Martin Reid. So, you know, if you ever have a story that you want to share about the Sultan of Smooth, I would love to hear it because I'm never going to let that one die. Never, ever, ever.
Do you wear your t-shirt?
I do wear my t-shirt. I don't wear it all the time because I might have gained a pound or like 5, but I do wear it and around the house when it's not going to scare people because it's a lot.
It's saucy.
Listen, I actually think that we should find a way to market these shirts and, you know, send the proceeds to a fabulous charity, maybe Jean-Claude's charity in Haiti. I mean,
we could like educate the children with pictures of me shirtless on a t-shirt.
No, we educate the children with money. We educate the rest of the Pilates world with the t-shirts. I mean, come on here. Anything to make a buck for the children, Martin.
For those who are watching, the last time we had this call, I was just talking to Misty on another, an hour? Just the two of you, like with
Maybe, yeah.
and just like
Couple
commiserating and planning and just making me like the subject of every joke. So expect more of that.
I mean, Martin, we were not making jokes at your expense. We were honoring the fact that you are such a lovely, even-tempered guy that's really easy to maybe pick on a little bit. That's all.
Maybe.
All right. So I would love to know, how did you guys meet? And more importantly, which of you decided, oh man, that's going to be my swoopy first?
You know, it's interesting. Like I'd have to say the elevator story was the first.
Okay, you can tell the elevator story, then I'll tell the other story.
Sure. So the elevator story is we were both working at a big box gym and we're doing like our whole like online our training thing, and Alex was an assistant department head for one department, and I was assistant department head for the PT. And we were both in the elevator for this, like the onboarding big, huge thing that they're doing. And that was my first time just talking with her and just kind of cracking jokes with her. And it was one of those things where like, I just wanted to be around her. Like, you know what I mean? Like we weren't like, I was going through my divorce at that time and I wasn't really thinking dating or anything, but like, you know, when there's just an attraction to somebody, which is just like, you just like their personality or like their jokes or just something about them. Like there was just a natural attraction at that point that I was like, I just wanted to just like.
Well, this was like a 2-story hotel, 3-story hotel. So this wasn't a long elevator ride, but we just happened to hop on at the same time. And I was going to look for someone and he was going, and it was just that quick. And I don't even think it stood out so much until after it was like, I remember you in the elevator, and there was something there. But fast forward, the gym would do a 90-day fitness challenge. And I was in the group fitness department and he was in the personal training department. So they decided to pair up a trainer and a group fitness instructor to try and build groups to do this challenge. And the club had just opened, so it was still a really exciting time and everyone wanted to do these challenges. And they put us all in a room, all the trainers and group fitness instructors, and they passed around a paper. You know, we've paired you up, here it goes. And the whole time I'm thinking, and the paper, of course, is going far away. And I'm thinking, like, please don't pair me with this person or that person.
There were some unsavory people whose names will remain nameless, but yeah.
And lo and behold, Martin Reid became my partner. So he kind of came in and said, you know, let's set this up. Let's figure it out. And by the way, what are you having for lunch today? And I said, I don't know. And in jest, I said, like, a Diet Coke and a Wonder Bar. And a Wonder Bar here is a chocolate bar in Canada, and it beats Snickers any day. And he looked at me and he was like, I can't believe you'd eat that. And then it was about he wouldn't talk to me for like 2 or 3 days. I was
You
like,
food
oh my
shamed
goodness.
her?
What?
Food shame.
What?
So
I mean, Martin Reid.
yeah. So at some point he came back and he said, look, if we're going to do this, you're going to do it 100%. So we're going to go in and we're going to work out and teach group fitness, but still I was dying. And then the next day he said, okay, we're going down to the TRX, and I don't want to hear any more complaints. Like, you complained the whole time yesterday, zip it and get your workout in. So he put me on a TRX. This is a true story. So he put me on a TRX in a plank, and I feel this pain go from my groin up to my like rib cage, like so painful. But it's Martin. And so he said, don't complain. And I wanted to impress him. So I'm doing planks, I'm doing I'm doing everything I can. And the whole time, well, it turns out I pulled my psoas. And so finally about 10 minutes in, I was like, Martin, I'm in a lot of pain and I can't do this anymore. And so anyway, from there we became Team Madagascar, which is Alex and Marty, the zebra and the lion.
Oh, that is funny.
And
Marketing 101 right here.
yeah, right? No, that was you. That was you. Yeah, that was totally you. And then, yeah, we just became friends. Like we would hang out at night. I was in a situation where I was kind of trying to figure out a way out of my marriage. I didn't really want to go home at night. And I would sit in my office and he'd come in and he would work on his computer and I'd work on mine. And there was just this calmness when we were together. And it was just a friendship. It was just a really great friendship until it wasn't, I guess. And or it is, it still is.
But that's
we just added we kept adding layers to it. But he was never going to get married and he was never going to fall in love. So this is what it is.
Pause. So is that why you food shamed her, Martin? Because you started to have a little feeling that, oh my goodness, I'm being paired with this person that caught me in the elevator and perhaps I'm having feelings?
No.
Are you calling me like a grade 1 kid who like is mean to the girl that he likes because he's just trying to like get her attention in some weird backwards way?
No, not trying to get her attention, but by trying to aggravate her enough so she went away so that you could then be like, ooh, I didn't really like her anymore.
No, it was a true, like, I cannot believe you would eat we're in charge of these people losing weight over 90 days and getting in the best shape of their life and you're eating a Wonder Bar. That's not going to happen on my team. And it became a joke. He's like, I go to type in a word that starts with W and Wonder Bar pops up because I would type it so often. But yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah. It was just all about, if you're going to do this, you're going to do it right. Yeah. But that's Martin, right? Go big or go home.
I mean, and I love the sentiment. I mean, I will break up with a dude over chocolate, but maybe.
Okay, I'm gonna send you Wonder Bars. I'll wait until winter. They are the best.
As long as they're soy free, because I have an allergy. But I love chocolate, and so seriously, I would be like, this may be a hot dude, and we may be on a team together, but we can't be friends because you are trying to interfere with my chocolately happiness.
Right.
But then maybe that wasn't it. That was. Then there was a night I had done yoga and I came in, he's in the office and we were talking. I said, do you want to go get a drink? It's like, oh, I don't drink. Like, okay, like you don't drink beer. Like, do you want to go? I said, Joe, and go get a beer. Oh, I don't drink. So like, what do you drink? It's like, I don't drink. What does that mean? You don't drink. But anyway, yes. I changed his ways.
Yes.
I mean, and now he's my dark and stormy on a Saturday night, buddy. Alex, I thank you. Martin messages me on Saturday evenings, and very often I am still working. And when I get a text from Martin, I know it's time to stop working. Yeah. So I appreciate that for sure. I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah, Misty, it's funny though. At the same time, we're saying like we're talking about this chocolate thing or like the no drink thing. I was in a headspace where it's like I really didn't care about anything or anyone. Like I was, and I'm, like this isn't my like, but I was like in a dark space. Like I was really in. I'm not trying to impress anybody. I'm not trying to get anybody. I'm not trying to hook up with anybody. I'm not trying to get them to like me or impress me, whatever. I am singularly focused on myself for now because the world has hurt me and I'm just here for my people. Full stop.
I get that. After my divorce, I remember, so back in college, because I was all angsty and, whatever, a friend of mine, Josh, had this, this mindset, life's better when you're bitter. And, it was the early 90s and it was grunge and everybody was all salty and wearing flannel. And so, I embodied that for a long time. And then I was like, oh, maybe I'll try this whole love thing, whatever. I'm walking down the aisle and I'm like, oh shit, I can't get out of this. So then I faked it a little bit, and then we were too young and really too stupid to get married, but we did. And when it was over, I remember being like, life really was better when I was bitter. And I hated the world. I hated the whales. I didn't even like recycling. Like everything was bad. And I was completely content with being an acidic asshole. Does that sound familiar?
Come up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was that?
Yeah, he's like a Mexico story. So yeah, Martin, but we had such a friendship, you know, and I was still going through a divorce. So at this point, he was in his sense of it was his wife had initiated the divorce and I initiated on my end. So we would sit down and have a coffee and the conversation would be, can you believe he did this? He said this. And Martin would say, well, he's coming from a place of A, B, or C. I remember when I felt that way, you know, or he would say, can you believe she said this or did this? And I'd say, well, wait a minute. Have you ever thought that maybe, you know, I like to think that my ex-husband probably thinks I woke up one morning and was like, I'm going to have cornflakes and I think I'll ask for a divorce. Mm. Where meanwhile, this was brewing and brewing and brewing and brewing. And, you know, so you had this anger that you probably had at the same time, but he would see me really soul searching in how not to hurt my ex-husband and how to do this as carefully as I possibly could, that possibly could have his ex-wife done the same thing. And he didn't see that, right? And so we both kind of, and then I saw his hurt and his sorrow and his sadness that his marriage ended. And it made me be a little bit more compassionate towards leaving my husband as well. And we both had children around the same age. You know, we worked in a big box club where most everyone was in their 20s. And here we were in our late 30s with children about them. We were, you know, really the only divorced people with children in their, you know, pre-teens, that it was pretty natural that we would, I can't think of anyone else that would have paired up. And then I moved out of the fitness side of things and moved into the management side of things. So I worked my way up to becoming the general manager. And then there was, so that's where when people, Martin brings it up a lot, we have the conversation about our breakup plan. The breakup plan really was, how is this going to look when we work together?
You have to walk down the hall and see each other.
And I have to run a meeting or we're in the same room. What does that look like for you? So we can both in our jobs be responsible human beings and not upset the world around us because our relationship did. And we hid our relationship for a really long time. Until we went to Japan. And then they were like, two people going to Japan at the same time. Like,
I knew you when you went to Japan, didn't I?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, it was after the photo shoot. Yeah, I remember. So Martin's not one of those like all the cards out people, but I will tell you that whenever your name came up, or maybe you said something like my lady or something like that, but like
codename Utah,
Utah, Sky Girl.
I can't remember what it was.
Sky Girl.
But whenever you said whatever it was, you know, you would just kind of see like the clouds part, the sun come out. Why do birds suddenly appear? And I would be like, what is that? Come back. We're having a conversation.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah.
Well, you think you hide it. You think you hide it so well. There was a day at the gym and I walked up and you were talking to Chi.
Yeah.
And I walked up and just, hey, how's it going? Walked away and she was like, she really likes you. Martin told me, I'm like, I don't put off that. Like, I play it cool.
No poker face whatsoever.
No,
whatsoever.
I don't.
But Misty, that's true, man. Like, I mean, I feel like that is really it. Like, I was so set, so into the thing, and then in so many ways, she interrupted that whole program. That life is better when you're bitter program was interrupted. And
sorry, my power just went out.
Oh,
it'll be back.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's just it. Like it really interrupted that in so many different ways, right? Like,
so, and also Martin was dating while we were friends in the beginning. Martin would go on dates, and I don't think
like one off, this isn't going to work dates.
But he would go on dates. So we'd have these conversations, and we'd have these serious conversations. How will I know? And I'd say, well, you don't want the date to end. You know, you'll drive her home, and you'll sit and you'll talk for 3 hours in the car, and then you'll go home and text, and that's how you're going to know, is you don't want the date to end. But then I would also say things like, you know, girls really hate it when you open the door for them. It's really old fashioned and no one likes it anymore. And girls don't want to ever pay for, or don't want the man to pay for the bill anymore. So you should, you know, so I try and give him, I try and sabotage him. And and as my mother would always say, nothing good happens after 11. So I'd be like, you have to be home by 11 because nothing good ever happens. And I would find myself almost like sick to my stomach. Like, what is he doing? And oh my gosh, it's 10:48. Am I going to hear from him? Like, what if this is it? What if he doesn't want this date to end? And that, I think, is when I realized, like, okay, I'm kind of liking this guy because I want him to be happy, but with me. But what would happen is Martin would text me, okay, I'm at her house. And then he'd text and be like, she's getting ready. And we'd text back and forth. And then we had these, like, what we call OBTs, obligatory bathroom texts, where you excuse yourself to go to the bathroom and then update.
And be like, I'm 2 minutes before this conversation with this girl, and she's talking about having kids. How do I get out of this?
And so we started these things we call them OBTs, and that's obligatory, bathroom text. So then he would text me halfway through, and then like 11:02, I'd get the text, okay, I'm home. And we would text till 2, 3 in the morning. Yeah. And so that's how you know you don't want your conversations to end. It was just me or us and not them.
Yes.
So then when did you decide, all right, it's sugar get off the pot time? When are we going to?
Which one?
Well, so I'm going to start with you, Alex, because I feel like you were the most genuine, in the most genuine place when this all started.
Well, I went through a divorce too.
The OBT's place.
OBTs, yeah. We used to talk about, so a little history about me. My ex-husband was a professional hockey player / coach. So where I could do whatever I wanted, but I could only do it within the range of where we were in hockey. And when that ended and we were going to the next city, that's where we went. So Martin and I have conversations about, you need in a relationship to be on separate paths, but your paths need to be going in the same direction. Mm-hmm. Where I always felt like I was on my ex-husband's path, and wherever it went, that's just where I had to figure it out.
Now, hold on real quick. Was that by choice? Was that a discussion that you guys had? Was it, oh, well, he's on skates and so someone's got to be on stable ground for the kids? Like, what took you there?
I was a flight attendant.
You are not a shrinking violet. You're not one of those people going to be like, oh, my husband, let me swoon.
You know what? No, I mean, I dated my ex-husband for 6 years. Like, he made sure, like, this is the life. Like this, and his dad was a professional player with 6 kids, and they moved all over. So this is what you sign up for. And, you know, I tried to do it with a smile on my face, and I was fortunate. I was a stay-at-home mom, and I got to be with my children. But we had a 15-year age difference, and I think in the end, I just, at 36, 37, you're not the same person as you were at 21. And I think I just outgrew the relationship. And you'll never hear me speak poorly of my ex-husband. We have a great relationship now. I have a great relationship with his fiance. My children just moved down there with him. But after a while, it's hard to find yourself when you're always moving. And no fault to him. That's just the breaks that he had with. Some people stay at the same team for years, and we just ended up we moved every 7 months to a new city.
I would think it's hard to build and maintain an identity when there's so much wrapped in the other person. And, you know, I don't want to say this like it's a bad thing, so don't take this the wrong way, but When your identity is wrapped up in your kids and their activities and who they are and growing them as people, and you don't have the time to grow yourself, it becomes pretty lonely, I would imagine.
And I mean, just in the sense, they're gone all the time.
Yeah.
You're on your own. And like I said, I wouldn't trade the fact that I got to stay home with my children, and it is what it is. And then I came here, we moved here, I started growing with Lifetime, and I started building a career for myself. And so yeah, so I'm here and he's there. He's in the US now, but you know, when Martin and I, there are a few points where I'd sit down and I'd say, "Where do you think this is going to go?" And he said, "I'm not getting married." And it came down, I think I just said, you know, I'm happy to do this. I don't need to be married, but I need to feel like I want to have
I want more of this.
I want to have a garden together. I don't want two garbage nights, and I don't want to go home at 2 a.m. to my house. And at some point I want to build a life together. And he was like, no.
Blind.
Yeah.
Turn it that way. Ah!
Sorry.
It's okay. I mean, it's only murder. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, he said, no, I will never get married, and this will never happen.
This is what we signed up for. This is what we started with.
And I said,
stay on track with you're getting exactly what I'm delivering, exactly what I said right at day one.
And I said, I think our paths just took two different turns, and I'm out. And I left. I walked out of Starbucks.
Nap. You said peace.
Yeah.
Okay, so now, yeah. Martin, now the song playing is All by Myself.
Yes.
And, you know, she just walked out. The woman that made you swoon has just closed the door.
Well, yes, she has, but you know, like in my headspace, it was just like, well, you deserve that because you don't want to lead her on. You don't want to give her false expectations about what you're delivering. This is exactly it.
Martin, I need
19-year plan. The 19-year plan.
Hard to hear you.
Say it again.
Okay. Keep your voice up a little. You sound like you toilet.
Yeah, so it's like but that's where I was at, right? So when she walked away, it wasn't like I was like sad or relieved. It's just like, okay, well, I'm not gonna overpromise and underdeliver. I'm promising exactly what I delivered. So if this doesn't fit for you, then we're like, I think I said it at that point, like we're at an impasse.
We pulled out the hammer to break the breakup plan glass. It was done.
We were totally at an impasse. But so then where it went from there, though, was having the thoughts of the conversation and saying, okay, I need to come to a place where I can take never out of my conversation. So instead of saying, I'm never going to get married, never going to have kids, well, never going to have kids.
No.
But
that's a never.
But the never get married piece, I just resolved, okay, so I'm going to take never out of my vocabulary and just go where this goes. And you, at the same time, were saying that you weren't going to talk so much about the future, right? Everything will be about us and the future.
In the moment.
And so we're both basically purposing to live at the moment and not cut off tomorrow through our words. And that was
April of 2017. So that's key. So April of 2017, he said, I'm not ever getting married. No. And then we came to the decision, let's just be in the moment and accept, and I won't say never. Around this time, I'm the general manager of this big box club now. So I've gone from a group fitness instructor to managing the entire club. And my children, I'm never home. My kids are struggling. My health is struggling, my stress. And I recognized that I just couldn't do it anymore. I woke up one morning and I couldn't fit into a shirt. And I walked in and I gave my notice. And we were talking about it the other day. You hear a lot with Simone, what's the last name? Biles. Yeah. Stepping back, or the tennis star, Naomi, saying this, I'm not in the right place and I can't perform.
Right.
I walked away from a 6-figure job as a single mother because I couldn't do it. in this time, my visa was expiring in Canada. And the club said, we got you, we got you, we got you. And then they got declined. And at this point, because I said, I don't think I want to be in this role anymore. I don't want to leave, but I don't want to be in this role anymore. They said, you're on your own.
Wow.
So I kind of did a Hail Mary. I hired and that's a whole nother story. Just the immigration itself. At that point, people kept saying, well, get married. We'll get married, get married. And I was like, I am not marrying someone who doesn't want to get married.
Right.
Just to stay in a country. And we did kind of a Hail Mary. I went over the border and they gave me my deportation. I had 1 month to gather my belongings.
To get out of the country.
I've been there for 8 years, 2 children, and they said, you have to leave. Figure it out.
Wow.
Yes.
That would be July.
July, yeah.
July, like late July of 2017.
Mm-hmm.
So then I'm wrestling with this, and I was like, okay, well, one day in Starbucks, we're like, well, let's get married. Let's do this. Because of my own kind of reflection time by myself, I was thinking, okay, what would I regret more in life? If I tried and failed again, have another divorce on my docket, or didn't try at all? Right? So I was like, I would hate living with myself if I didn't try this. And then it's like some long distance relationship from Texas, and then it just fizzles out when I was feeling that good and that happy and all these different things. So I pitched it like, let's do this. Let's get married. And she was resistant because she didn't want to be an obligatory marriage. And after all the conversations and everything we just went through, she wanted to be authentic and me to own it. And I wanted to try. Like, that was the thing that I needed to just interrupt that whole mindset of better being bitter, is to like legit just try, just do it again.
Yeah, he spent like 7 hours on the phone when he came out. I said, okay, I've been on the phone all day, and this is how we're going to do this. And we still could have gotten married, and I still could have been deported. They could have declined everything.
Oh, geez.
And so that was a Tuesday. I came home. Friday, we decided we're doing it, and we got married the following Tuesday. So we went from April of 2017 to our pastors took the different turns. It's over to August of 2017 married.
I mean, that's the express plan.
Just like I wrote it up in January.
But I was like, did you know what? I really didn't get deported. I just figured it would.
That's right.
It worked too.
So, but then
90-day fiance right there.
I mean, and yeah, clearly it still works because you haven't bashed him with a frying pan as we're sitting here hearing these stories. But I mean, at that point, was it smooth sailing? I mean, because listen, you each have kids. They're around the same age. What were they? Adolescents, tweens?
Yeah.
10, 11. Yeah, 10, 11, 13, and 15, 14.
Terrible, monstrous ages. How did that work? Oh, hey, like, we're just gonna be married, moving in together, and lots of luck, kids.
So our kids never saw us kiss until the day we got married, because it was very important to us that our kids only saw friendship. In the event, it didn't work out. So we watched a movie Blended one time with Drew Barrymore and Adam Sandler.
Mm-hmm.
And in the end, it's the kids who decide that the parents need to be together. And we kind of looked at each other and we said, when our kids know it's time, they'll let us know. And I think our kids were the ones that were like, just do it. Just get it done.
Yeah, my boys, when I was talking about like this whole thing, they're like, yeah, just do it. Like, they were totally encouraging me to give it a try, sort of thing. Okay.
Well, and our kids, you can hear me, right? Because I'm like foghorn
you are
leghorn.
super loud and crispy clear.
Our
crystal
kids are all within like so my youngest right now is 14. Then we have a 15-year-old. He has a 15-year-old. Then I have a 17-year-old, and he has an 18-year-old. So they're all really within the same range, 3 boys and 1 girl. And they all just, we got a bigger house and just made sure that everyone kind of cohesively, but it just it just works. We both have really great kids. If he didn't inherit, if I was all of a sudden, he's like, oh, I have a 2-year-old, I'd be like, or I have a dog.
Right.
maybe not, right? Like all of our kids are just homebodies. They don't cause us problems. Mine have just recently left. We're so fortunate.
Absolutely.
In that sense.
You are. That blending of families bit is like it's really, really hard. It's like putting cats and dogs in a pen and saying figure it out. Like it's not easy under the best of circumstances. And seeing as you guys were on fire when this happened, I think that's a really, really great story.
Well, and if we want to really open up doors, let's talk about blending cultures.
Let's talk
and
about
families.
Shall we?
Like, let's have a discussion. We were in Dominican and we were trying to figure out a cheaper path. And I said, okay, well, can my daughter say or can we say our son is 13, like our daughter? He's like, well, I'm going to need to see them to see if we can do that. So we kind of pull him over and the guy's like, well, we can't really say that they're twins. I'm like, oh, you think? Like, it's kind of obvious who belongs to who, but it's, we didn't only just blend families, we blended backgrounds and race, if you want to go there.
So let's talk about that. Were there any hiccups? Blending families in general is hard. And, knowing you guys, I can see that it would be easy for you to blend cultures or races or whatever, because it's not the way you exist. But what about family? What about other relationships that you had? Was it a challenge for those individuals? Are there individuals like that?
No, you've never met my family.
Right.
He's met my mother, that's it. But that wasn't it. I mean, I'm from Utah. I grew up in the most white state of the 50 states that you can, and I grew up non-Mormon, I just like to put out there, and a very liberal family. But I didn't have a lot of experience with, I didn't have friends.
Where's the closest West Indian?
One time he made a comment, he goes, I said, okay, we were talking because we had a lot of conversations last year with everything going on in the world. There were a lot of conversations, and Martin's talked about before, I call it the invisible cloak of privilege. I didn't grow up in a hateful family. So in my mind, I'm just open and love is love. But you start realizing the privilege you have that you didn't know you have it. And you're almost forced to look in a mirror and be like, you're wearing this cloak, whether you like it or not. When Martin and I first dated, we went to H&M.
Oh, yes.
And we walked in and the alarm went off. Someone got too close to the alarm and I said to him, oh my gosh, I love looking to see who set off the alarm.
Meanwhile, I'm still in the store. I stopped dead where I am so that people don't think that's me that stole it.
Right.
Right?
That was a huge eye-opener for me. I've never had that experience in my life. I didn't know that happened.
Mm-hmm.
I just know that I didn't steal anything, so what do I have to worry about?
Right.
And it's a sad experience to have to go through, or to be introduced to, that this is reality.
Mm-hmm.
Another one is I was taking my son to hockey and I went through a stop sign. I guess I didn't see the stop sign, so I'm assuming I went through it. I dropped my son off, pulled into the hockey arena, dropped him off, and as soon as I pulled out of the parking lot, red and blue lights, they pull me over. Ma'am, do you know why we pulled you over? You ran a stop sign. Oh my gosh, I didn't even see it. My bad. I need your driver's license and registration. It's a new car. I can't find the registration. I'm looking in my purse. I'm looking in the glove box. I'm looking under the seat. My hands are going everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And in the end, I got a warning. Sure enough, the registration is still sitting at home in like the new car folder. And I got a warning. And so I came home and we were talking to Martin's friend Damon about it. And I was like, and I'm looking here and I'm looking there. And Damon's like, my hands would have been on the steering wheel. Like,
yeah. The fact that she got home, that she called me, I'm here with the police officer trying to find this.
I can't find it. Do we have it? Where is it? And that's privilege.
Mm-hmm.
I get pulled over and my first thought is, what did I do? Oh dear, my bad. Our son, here in Ontario with everything shut down, you don't have to register your car. Our car is registered.
Mm-hmm.
Just in case. Or actually, the last time we had a little bit of an opening in terms of the province, we went to a friend's house in Milton, which is like 20 minutes away, and we're driving home, and of course the police are out everywhere doing like their ride program because the first day bars are out. They're assuming that people are going to be drinking and driving, so they're out there making sure everyone's good.
So explain ride, because they don't have those.
So ride is just like a random stoppage. They stop at intersection, people pull them over, the whole night. So we're pulling up to this, and then they ask me a couple of questions, and then they let me go. And
this is right after George Floyd.
Yeah, this is like
right after it.
Weeks after George Floyd. So the kids in the back are like kind of nervous, like, oh, well, don't know what's going to happen. And then I was totally honest. We drive away, and then we have a conversation in the car. And Alex was ready to say, well, guys, if you just basically just be honest with the officers, just tell them what happened, you'll be fine.
Well, and the conversation I would have had with my children was, if you haven't done anything, you don't have to worry about these rides. And I went to turn around to say, guys, if you do the right thing, aka you don't drink and drive, you have nothing. And I couldn't finish my sentence. And I turned back and I just tears in my eyes. And that night, I told him.
Yeah, it just rocked her just thinking about those moments.
I have to parent my other two children differently than my two children. Or, how many times we send our two youngest, here's $5, go to the convenience store, get out of here. I didn't know I'm supposed to tell him to get a receipt. I don't tell my son he needs a receipt.
Mm-hmm.
He buys his gum and slushy and leaves. And then we were listening to something and they're like, I always tell my son to have a receipt, to get a bag. And it never crossed my mind.
So here's my question. Did you come to this realization on your own, suddenly, you get together and boom? Or did Martin, you have to educate Alex, hey, I understand that that's the way you would handle it, but you have to look at the two brown boys in the situation here. How did that dynamic happen? And, does it continue?
Well, it continues, but that's part of doing life together. I don't say, okay, well, here's the manual. Let's turn to page 26 today. It's just it just happens as it happens, right? So when we've created this safe place in our home where we can have these conversations, and some of the conversations we have to be safe enough that they're not social media conversations, because I want her to be able to freely ask a question that might be unacceptable to ask, right? And I think that's you and I do a good job of doing that, with our platforms. We're trying to create that space, in the digital space, but that happens in our home all the time. Okay, I just want to ask you this.
Can I say this say it wrong, and not in malice, but in it's one thing to be ignorant, it's another thing to be ignorant to your ignorance.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honestly open, I didn't grow up, I didn't go to school with anyone who was Black. I didn't grow up, I'm a touchy-feely person.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know you weren't supposed to touch Black hair.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do it out of malice. If you had a fuzzy sweater on, it's a texture, it's different, but it's not in a this is a bad sense. All of a sudden last year I was like, oh my God, I've done that.
Mm.
I didn't know. I didn't know that was a do not do. So was I ignorant? 100%. Am I ignorant to my ignorance? Not anymore.
Well, and that's the thing. You either learn from it and grow, or you're an asshole. Like there's a line. You know, Martin and I talk about this all the time. No one should be mad at you for something that you couldn't have known or shouldn't have known. And to be honest, I don't care how much TV you watch. If you are from a place like Utah, you're not going to have exposures to certain things. And moreover, if you see some things like that in particular on television, someone making a big deal of it, I would assume it almost looks like a caricature. Like, do people really get that upset about it? But then when you experience it in real life, or you see how it truly impacts someone, not on a TV show, but in real life, or you are able to interpret what that pain would be like for somebody close to you or special to you, that's when you can empower yourself. And, you know, from now on, not only will you not do that, but if you see somebody else doing it, I'm assuming, considering who you are, you would probably say something before the person who's being groped would have to say anything. I'm guessing.
Yeah. It's, and you know what, and my children are very, especially my daughter, hyper aware and wanting to learn. And you know, Martin had the conversation yesterday about what is doing the work. We do the work in our house all the time. Quick story I didn't even tell you. My daughter just moved to Orlando and they started school on Tuesday. So she's lived in Canada for the last 10 years, 11 years. She went down, they started the day with the Pledge of Allegiance in class. She's like, A, I don't even know it, but B, I stood up because that's what you're supposed to do. And it's a very diverse school. And she said, Mom, I looked around and the only people standing up were the 3 white people in class. And I was mortified. And I like, she's like, I didn't know what to do in that moment because I didn't want to look like, you know, she was just confused. Mm-hmm. She was confused. She wanted to do the right thing. She was more culturally in a new country, not knowing, you know, if all of a sudden you plot me in Japan, I wouldn't know what to do either. But then she recognized that some people don't stand for it, or maybe, you know, the whole kneeling conversation. And we've come from Canada, kind of looking down on everything happening in the United States. And she was really torn, like really, really torn and embarrassed that she stood, but was trying to do what she thought everyone was like. And really they had to have a conversation of, okay, what if she's like, I'm not standing tomorrow. You know, but she's very aware in wanting to do the right thing and educating her brother and her parents. And
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But
Martin, how about for your children? I mean, obviously they know who they are and they know what they are, but is there a transition having paler kids in the house that do have privileges that, you know, your kids may not have, or more importantly, things that they may not have noticed before that suddenly became in full view?
Your mom was Jamaican.
Yeah, it was one time back, like when we're just hanging out, and then
we were married. Like we were just barely married. We were in the house. Yeah.
Sure. And our younger son,
my son,
was like kind of just chirping out, just saying something, just talking back. And then I was in the kitchen, and then Alex was there, and I hear the boys talking to him saying, if your mom was Jamaican, you would have never got away with saying that.
You're lucky your mom's not Jamaican, because you would be upside the head.
So, yeah. Martin, is your ex-wife Jamaican?
She is, yeah.
I had no idea. I mean,
like you, parents are Jamaican. She was born here, right?
She was born here, and it's the same thing. Our families were second generation Jamaican, and like it's that upbringing is strict. Like you don't play, right? You talk when you're spoken to. You mind your own business. My kids are ninjas around here. Like
They're stealth, yeah.
they're so stealth. Like you don't know that they're around. Like they're just. That's just how. Like that's just culturally how we're all raised.
And my kids are like 85% of the noise. Like it's so quiet here.
Yeah, it's always interesting, I think, looking at a Black household and a non-Black household or an Asian household. It's so interesting because the parenting style is very different, and the way the children navigate home life, I would say, is very different. My mother had this look that would, melt marble. And, when she would hear my friends going after their parents, like talking back, I mean, my mother would actually look at other people's children and they would be like, oh, like, like they looked at Medusa. She had a way, like we weren't ever smacked, beaten, pushed around because we didn't have to be. That short little woman had the most powerful eyeballs and freaking eyebrows that you will ever see. But it's definitely a difference between, cultures in general, I think, because I feel like my white friends allow more questioning and banter with their children than I do. And my mother definitely would have had no parts of it.
Don't get me wrong. Like my mom she was a strict, like she had a wooden spoon that she would raise up. But I was, and I always tell Martin, like, you'll never understand the dynamic of a mother-daughter relationship either, in a sense, right?
Actually, and that's the other dynamic too. Right? I have two boys, so like one being hands off as a step parent, and then two being hands off as a step parent to a daughter. That's like that's a completely different dynamic.
Martin, like he'd never experienced a daughter before.
Now, what is that like? Are you like, oh, I want to be mad at you, but you're a girl and you're squishy and cute?
Oh, there you go. There are lights.
Glenn brought a little mini generator in. We'll see how long it lasts.
Oh, nice. There you
go. Hey, thanks, man.
Well, no, it's like, with her being 17, it's more like it's a friend, right? Like this is the stage of life where it's. I said as a step parent, there's times when I step up and there's times when I step back, right?
Step up
or step aside and allow you. So I'm echoing whatever Alex is parenting. I'm not the enforcer. I'm just echoing that. So whatever she's trying to enforce, encourage, or whatever with them, like I will echo that. And I think I'm just wired to not let anyone take advantage of their mom, because it's just being a firstborn and being from a Jamaican family, you don't let that happen. So that's where I draw the line when I feel like, okay, I feel like she's being taken advantage of now. You can't let that happen. So that's probably where I like, if there's going to be any issues or fights or disputes around parenting, it's because of our philosophy on what we're going to let slide and what we're not going to let slide. Ultimately, is what it comes down to, I'd say.
Yeah, and Molly, she does have some anxiety, and Martin will ask her, do you want to run this errand with me? And that means let's go to Starbucks or let's go sit down. And Molly loves to talk. She's 17 going on 40. And she loves to have conversation, and she really loves that time with Martin. And that's one reason I sent my children down to Florida with their dad, is so they can develop that same relationship with their soon-to-be stepmom and dad that they've developed with Martin as well. Yeah. And Finnegan, his dad is a part of his life, but especially with COVID, he hasn't been around as much through no fault of his own. I want to make sure that's stressed. And Finnegan's just a boy's boy. And he loves playing basketball with the boys, and he loves sport, and he looks up to Martin in that sense of, showing him how to change a tire. And those are things I'm appreciative that, he had that male figure, again, through no fault of my ex-husband's alone, being in the United States. There was last year and a half, he wasn't really around that much. And it's good to know that, he had that experience with Martin. So overall, it's been good. And I feel like your family's accepted me. And
absolutely. Yeah.
Was there any doubt you may not be accepted?
Not at all.
No, I don't think so.
No.
No.
And even like there's a whole layer too. We're talking about cultural and like skin tone, but also faith based too, right? Like I mean, my family is like hardcore Christian, so now I'm bringing someone in who isn't faith
The
based, comes
universe.
from Utah, like all these different things, right? So you think
Did you have crystals?
He's the no. But I'll say, well, I think the universe is looking out for us, and for him, it's God. And I'm like, I think it's the universe.
Can't they be the same thing?
Well, sure, why not? Let's
One and the same.
not go there. But at the same time, so my family just embracing her, one, because she makes me happy, two, because she's an awesome person, three, because it just is like that's what you want for your kids, is for them to be happy, and just to see how compassionate she is, and how her kids are such great kids, and all these different things that like there's so many boxes that get ticked above. Are they the same skin tone as you? Are they the same faith as you? Are they the same this, or this? Like that's the basis of racism, is just sameness. How same can we be? And that's not what they're about. They're just like, just embrace her for the love that she gives, and the love and the person that she is.
It's like Michelle, our friend from the car show.
Oh
The other day.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about random. Like I like kind of duped Alex into coming to this Porsche show with me. Told her we were going out for ice cream. I was like, look, there's 50 Porsches here. Surprise.
Oh,
Do you want to go
what
for a drive? Do
coincidence.
you want to go for a drive?
So anyway, so we roll up there, and then she's like, okay, I'm going to Winners, peace out.
Which is like the TJ Maxx of Canada. I'm like, oh, there's a Winners in the parking lot.
Right. So,
have fun.
Yeah, so we kind of just joke about the fact that I suckered her into going to this date night at this Porsche show, gives me a kiss, and walks off. And there's a black lady sitting in her car that pulls Alex aside, and
she's like, excuse me. She's like, I just have to tell you, I can see the love between you and your husband. And she's like 8 rows away. I mean, she's not right there. She's further away. And she's like, I was talking to my mother, and I just said, I see a black man and a white woman, and it's obvious they are in love. She's like, I could tell by the way you kissed him that you just love him. And it was the day before our anniversary. And it was just like, and then at one point we called Martin over, and yeah, it's always nice. It doesn't matter who, when someone recognizes that you have this love that.
But put that against the rhetoric of like black men, and there goes another black man. He's like, oh no, white woman is taking another black man off the market, and like there's so many rhetorics that come with interracial marriage, that there's this powerful affirmation that came with this stranger of a lady pulling over this white woman and saying, I see that love that your husband has for you. I see the way he kisses. I see these things. And that's so sweet to see, right? Like it was an amazing moment for Alex, where she was like, that is so affirming, right? So.
But, and you're married, Misty?
Longtime partners. Might as well be married, but we really, going down to federal buildings is not really like my jam.
And I would have been fine doing that.
Yes.
I just got deported and needed federal building.
Right.
When you love someone, like you really love someone, and I always tell Martin, like, I like you. Love doesn't even, like, saying I love you doesn't feel like the tip of the iceberg for me.
Right.
Just read a comment there.
Feel like towards someone,
Winning.
and then
so good.
Someone acknowledges it, or they see it too. How do you tell someone how you really feel about them? You can't. I can't say it in words enough how much I just like being with this guy. So when someone can see it from across a parking lot, that you wear it and you show it, and your kiss isn't just a peck because I'm going over to TJ Maxx or Winners to spend some money.
I mean,
like
sometimes shopping looks on me like love from my partner. I just, especially if I'm going someplace with fabulous deals. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Kidding, not kidding.
When we moved, I thought I was like really smart. I got rid of all of our spatulas and any metal spoons or metals, and thinking, I'm going to get some
new utensils.
Ones. Yeah, we haven't had any. So that was my main purpose. But it just, it's nice to be acknowledged, that other people can acknowledge and see the way you really feel about this person.
It's almost like a universal reaffirming. It's kind of
Absolutely.
like,
Universe.
check
Oh my God.
the universe, Martin. Absolutely.
Martin would say God sent her to us, but
I mean, the flying
Not
spaghetti
unsure.
monster could have sent her. Who knows? I don't even know that that's the point. I think the point is that what you feel is clearly what you're communicating, because if it wasn't for that, it would have looked very different. It wouldn't have had the same uplift for the observer, and that observer seeing it, catching it, because that's a fleeting moment.
Absolutely.
It was powerful enough to stop her in her tracks.
Right.
I think that is a really, really beautiful thing.
so that's us in a nutshell.
Well,
Have
so
we left anything out?
I would like to know about last Tuesday at 5. No, I'm kidding. So let me ask you this. You're about to be empty nesters. I mean, your house is getting pretty empty. And, for a lot of people, COVID was enough. Like, it was way too much togetherness. You're going to have the opposite side. Are you nervously anticipating that? Are you getting pumped? What does that look like for the Reids?
When I'm hungry at night, I eat a hard-boiled egg, and that's dinner. Like, that's what that looks like.
Yeah, no prep.
You dodged this week, like this last week. You could cook a little.
Yeah, it's funny because like this with this whole move and everything, I've been like pretty burnt out. Like this is like probably like I was joking about this being date night. Like this is the first time I'm like present.
He
You know
went
what I
to
mean?
bed
Like
the other night downstairs in the basement. I
Misty.
went down. He was so asleep. I just let him sleep down there. He
Dude,
slept for 12 hours.
I had a call at 4 and I like, okay, I'm gonna sit on the couch. 7 o'clock, I'm gonna get up and just do some of the stuff I need to get done around the house. And it was 5 o'clock when I laid down. It was like 4:36. Alex comes downstairs, like, okay, just want to make sure that you don't miss your alarm. Like the 12 hours, I out cold on the couch in the basement. So, yeah.
I mean, when he needs to, what we call cocooning, and I just let him do it. I challenge him a little bit, but that's what he needs, and that's just space and time away. I have a job where I work really hard Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and it kind of tapers off. And so we don't have kids in the house Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. And I think we've just kind of unwritten. We just get what we need to get done so we can enjoy the weekend. But my kids are always gone in the summer, so this feels normal right now. People keep asking how I'm doing.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm good.
$100 a week in groceries? Yes, please.
So
yeah, I don't know when I'm gonna feel it. If I'm gonna feel it, I go to Florida September 1st. They come home December. So selfishly, I'm looking forward to me and us time. And
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, my children are 50% their dads, and he deserves just as much time as I get with them.
can we just talk about that?
Yeah.
Because that is such
Nope,
a
I can't hear.
Okay. Sorry, we have headphones dying here.
listen, I have a box generator next to me. Okay. Thanks again, babe. It's such a rational. Ooh, I'm hearing myself. I hate my voice. La 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 la. Oh man, you had a spare set and everything.
You just set it up because that's fine.
Sorry, Misty.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. In the meantime, guys, if you don't know who these lovely folks are, this is Martin and Alex Reid, the Sultan of Smooth, of course, and the lady behind the smooth. They are Pilates people, movement people, great people, Canadian people, Jamaican people. There's so many different types of people, but I'm happy to call them my friends. And I really, really love what they bring to this discussion, because honestly, these are things that a lot of people don't take into consideration when they are blending families, or dating after divorce, or any of these things, right? People don't look realistically at what's about to happen in their lives, and so it kind of makes it a little bit muddy.
There we
So
go.
I'm loving this conversation, and welcome back. So what I started to say.
What does that romantically look like?
No. I was just finishing it over. It's such a rational perspective, right? My children are half the other parents. And so it makes sense that they spend time at some point with that other parent. And I feel like so many separations, breakups, etc., are so acrimonious that piece of it is lost. I would love to know if you have any kind of any advice based on what you just said for people who may want to have it mine, all mine. They're my kids because it was my hoo-ha or whatever.
So Martin and I have a disagreement on something, and which is rare, but we do. So when I divorced, so my parents divorced when I was 5, and my father would pick us up. He'd come into the driveway. But when he remarried, his wife's ex-husband would come into their house and go up to the children's bedroom. And I remember thinking, gosh, I kind of wish I had that, right? My dad just driveway only kind of, and my parents, they got along, and and my mom and my stepmom would call each other wife-in-laws, and so there was, but he was never in our house. So when I divorced, it's very important to me that my children came first, and my ex-husband, he was the same way. We did it on a very level. This is a joint, even though it wasn't a joint decision. And we always told our kids, we're no longer going to be husband and wife, but we'll always be mommy and daddy, and we'll always be a family of 4. We are a family. Martin doesn't say that.
I disagree with that. And comment section, you're more than welcome
Here
to
we go.
disagree, because I feel like that's we're still mommy and daddy, but we're no longer a family of 4. The family is separated, but we are still parents.
No. So my ex-husband, we would have dinners together. We'd celebrate report cards together. We'd take our children. In fact, even the first time his fiance came to dinner, you could tell she was trying to figure it out. Like, why is your ex-wife at dinner with us tonight? Right? And now I think she gets it. But my ex-husband's always had access to the house. It's not my house, it's my children's home as well. And their dad is welcome in our home. And
I'm welcome to that.
Yeah,
it's not a geographical thing. I'm not opposed to that in any way, shape, or form.
But we still do family things. My children still, if it's a hockey game, I'm standing or sitting next to my ex-husband and his who,
Same with that.
But I look at it as we're still a family. When I married and had children, I created a family. That family is still in existence. It just doesn't look the same.
See, I love that. I mean, and everyone knows I'm not particularly Pollyanna about anything, but that was kind of the hope that I had with, Harrison's dad and all of that. Now, he actually got remarried. He actually got married, and his wife was like, "Ixnay on the Amly Faye. I want no parts of this. You are a weirdo because you eat organic food." And, it was just such a disaster, but that wasn't for my lack of trying. And it's funny, they've split up, and she and I keep in contact. I mean, it's not close contact, but, again, she's my son's brother's mom. And that's important because at some point, you just never know when a need might happen or whatever. You want the kids to know each other. But that said, I do think it takes a lot of maturity and maybe a little bit of crazy cowboy to actually implement that the way it sounds like you have. Now, when it's the four of you, do you ever bring Mr. Reid along and his children to the family? And then what's the count? Do you say we are a family? It's just, the number changed for this evening.
Yeah.
When Gord, my ex-husband, is in the house, they always greet each other with handshakes.
Yeah.
If Patty, my ex-husband's fiance, is here, they hug or help on the Pilates equipment. Patty's flips up on the. And it's taken a lot. Gord didn't think too kindly of Martin in the beginning. Right? He took my wife in a sense, but once he met somebody, and it's been 7 years. There's, if it's a graduation or everyone's there and everyone's in pictures and everyone is together.
Right.
It's important to me that my children, if it's picture day, they don't have to bring in 2 sets of pictures. They can bring in 1 picture that has everybody in their family. And I grew up with 2 step parents. At the end of the day, my step parents are my children's grandparents. There's no asterisks, there's no parentheses. My stepdad is my children's grandfather, and my sister even named her first child after my stepdad and her 3rd child after my father. So I grew up with a really nice example that it can be done.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not about me, it's not about Gord, it's about our children. And I would say with Patty, they met on Match.com, and I'll talk to my daughter and I'll say, can you imagine you meet a man and he's a good guy, and then you meet their children and they're good kids and they're not out to hate you, and then you meet the ex-wife and she's like
level-headed and like a good person. Yeah.
Patty's never had children.
Yeah.
She's a mom now. She's got 2 kids in her home.
Yeah.
I will share Mother's Day with you, and I will share anything that has the Neat title in it. Like, you're a mom now, and the more people who love my children, the better off they're going to be.
Yes.
So I don't understand people who want to fault their ex for moving on, or I want to make sure she's a good person.
Absolutely.
I don't want to be a bad person around my children.
Right.
And at the end of the day,
you went out for coffee with them too, right? Like,
that was a big one too.
Yeah, exactly. So like my ex-wife and Alex went out at one point and went down, sat down for a coffee.
And that was Deb's idea.
And that was her idea, where it's like, well, I just want to see the woman who's around my kids, right? Like, you just like get to know her. And my wife, my ex and I, it was never like a mean breakup, and we really stayed balanced in terms of focus on what's best for the kids from day one. Like Alex has seen that. Like, we could be like big, just at each other and then call back to me. Was I supposed to pick the boys up or you? Oh, you? Okay, thanks, bye. Like, we would be in that place where we can still not spite one another. So that carries over into this relationship where we're still parents and we're still doing this well because that's our job as parents, to parent these kids.
And I applaud that. And I mean, if you could ask what would be perfect for me, is I would love a Christmas morning where we're all together and our kids aren't having to go from one house to the next, or, it's important as a wife that I support his ex-wife. She's the mother of these boys, and she was very supportive when we were getting married.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
And I told her, I want to let you know your rules are our rules.
Mm-hmm.
If you say no, this doesn't happen, I'm not going to say yes because I can. Like, your parenting rules are our rules, and I will respect those rules in our house.
Well, isn't that the village, right? It takes the village. If we're not working together, then the children are likely to become feral, and God only knows what they do. But if we're working together and they know that if I'm over there, I still can't get away with anything. I know that she will call my mother will give me the face, whatever it is. I think it's so important that idea of structure doesn't change just because, you know, we've separated or divorced or whatever we've done. But I also know that that is not the reality for probably 90% of the people out there that are trying to figure it out.
Right.
And
No.
I didn't come from a bad marriage. I mean, you technically, like, I think he was a good guy. I
think it has to be a bad marriage, though,
Yeah.
for it to go sideways at the end. You know, you can have some people just get really mad that they've been left behind. I mean,
Yeah.
you said you outgrew the relationship, and that means, I mean, like, dude, I don't know, I'm just throwing this out there, but, you know, in other instances, people would say, I didn't do something, and therefore they have decided that I'm not worthy. Perhaps I haven't matured or matriculated emotionally, whatever it is. And therefore, I got left behind. And that can breed a type of resentment that I think that a lesser person would have trouble digesting.
Absolutely. I mean, I felt like that. Like, I'm not gonna lie, that's exactly how I felt. But you know, early in the game when I was going through that separation, a colleague of mine was saying, like, just focus on the good that's going on in your life. Focus on what, you know, and so I shifted all of my focus, all of my energy to my kids. That's why I didn't want to get married. That's why I didn't want to have kids. That's why I wanted to just give everything to them. And fortunately, my ex-wife was in that same headspace of what's best for the kids win. So that could have gone sideways. That could have been like using the kids as leverage the whole time. So like, I'm grateful. Like, I will never say that she was mean to me in the whole process, because we stayed focused on the kids and we did what was best for them in spite of how we felt about one another.
Well, and Martin always says, like, we worked because we would see each other at work. If you were trying to date someone, you work all week, and then the weekends were his boys.
Mm-hmm.
I might fit you in on a Saturday night.
Yeah.
That's it. Where we at least had that sense of we got to see each other during the week.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. That's fair.
So, and then to add, I mean, if you want to add layers to it, the conversation today of, like, I saw a Facebook post. Have you ever seen those ones where they point and the words pop up on the,
Yes,
all the,
like a reel almost.
so it was a woman and her husband, and it said, why your husband should have female friends. And she's doing this, but nothing's popping up. And at first I was like, oh, so something. And I was like, oh, okay. She's saying there's no reason. So meanwhile, Marcus was like, oh, I had lunch today with Kristen. And Martin has, you know, Misty's like, cut his hair for you tonight, Misty. And
No.
texting you on Saturdays. And like, he doesn't have a dark and storm with me on Saturdays while I'm working. Like,
yeah.
But we also have that sense of he still has his friends, and I have my friends, and we have our friends. And there are times he goes and does his thing, and there are times I do my thing. And there are no questions, and there's no concern, and there's no jealousy.
No insecurity.
Unless it's after 11 nights a date. Then I was jealous.
Fair. And I think that that's a huge part of the reason why relationships flame out, too. I mean, listen, how many relationships just crashed and burned during COVID, you know, the first 3 months? Honestly, I think that one of the things that people do is, oh my gosh, you are my one and my only. We're going to be together forever. Oh, I just love you. I love you. And one partner eventually feels completely smothered. And the other partner's like, why have I given up myself to be in this relationship where I feel like this giant weighted blanket is on me? One of my issues that my marriage, one of the reasons that caused my marriage to implode, one of the actions anyway, was that I was literally everything. And there's a lot of pressure when you're everything. I mean, yeah, I would be at work on the other side of town. It took me like an hour and 25 minutes to get to work. Then I would come back to this side of town, teach at the dance studio. And then I would get home at 11:15 at night. And then he wanted me to hang out with them. And I'd say, well, I mean, go out and make some friends. Like, talk to people. Like, I don't care. And he was like, no, I don't really want to make any friends. I mean, it was really, really hard. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I couldn't breathe anymore.
Well, when your expectation is on the other person to be everything for you, like that's when you lost. Like it should be, any relationship should be two whole people coming together. Like you don't complete me, you complement
Mm-hmm.
That's a
me
real,
in different
real
ways,
snippet
right?
of the conversation. He's like, I cannot make you happy. He's I don't know if you saw that. It was the post where he was talking about Jada, where he's like, I can't make you happy. You
Mm-hmm.
have to be happy. So if you have to go do what makes you happy and come in whole into this relationship. It's not my responsibility to make you happy. And I am not, I'm very introverted and I get a lot of anxiety. He loves to be around people and it takes a lot. So if we have to go to a barbecue at 4:00 on Saturday, by Tuesday, I am like, how can I get out of this? How can I? There are a lot of nights where I'm like, you just need to go and have fun and tell me all about it when you come home because I don't have the capacity to do it today.
Yeah, Miss, you're gonna see like when you get off this live, there's a barrage of messages where I'm like, Alex is out, she's not gonna make it, she changed her mind.
It was hard for me to get on here. It was very hard. Like it was touch and go. I don't know. Did you text her?
Yeah, you didn't see. You already went live, but like you'll see in your text, there's like a whole bunch of Alex is not doing this today.
I can teach fitness. I can stand in front of 40 people and I can sing, I can dance, and I can do the whole thing. But there's something of if we have a party, I'm standing by the sink and I'm washing dishes and you come to me, I can't come to you, and you're learning.
Yep, just navigate that.
How to, an introvert, my energy, it's very hard for me. But when people meet me, they think I'm extroverted and I can socialize. But when I'm done, I'm done.
Listen, I feel like that is, I mean, I can relate to that. I've gotten older. And when I was young, I was like, oh, no, I have this power. Okay, good.
You're still spooling there.
Yeah, I think I'm about to lose power. Lose power for real this time.
Okay.
But I'm going to wrap this because I don't want to lose power in the middle. I just want to say that we have to respect the fact that our partners need to be whole people, right? And their children have to be whole people.
Yep.
And, everybody has to have that opportunity to feel free to be themselves in the community that is the family, right?
Yep.
Did I lose you?
Absolutely.
No, I hear you.
Oh, okay, good. Good. Well, guys, do you have any tips, tricks, or anything you'd love to share with our ThoughtFLOW friends? And thank you, Sarah Joy. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, sir.
I think my tip is always date. Always be dating. When you first meet someone, you take them to dinner and you go to movies and then you you marry and you become parents and mom and dad. But if you're always taking that time, to show that person that they're special, or like you and I we work so hard that our marriage is easy.
Yeah, that is a nice tip. And you know what else? Always keep the bathroom door closed. Because I feel like once that level of mystery is gone, it's all over. You're too familiar. Close the damn door.
Facts.
Yes. Okay. I think on marriage too, that's a given. Your second marriage is like getting the car you always wanted. All the options. You're like, nope, keep the steering wheel or I'm not buying it.
Yeah. On that note, Martin, anything before we go?
No, this is fun, Misty. I just just thank you, Alex, for coming. Because I like honestly,
I'm like the mystery woman. Now everyone knows everything about us.
yes,
And
absolutely.
Alex, I mean, you are fabulous to talk to.
Thank you.
Like, I'm going to be totally in the kitchen with you. You're going to be like, oh, but you know what? Honestly, like all the people, I don't want to be with them either. I mean, I love them and I'll give them snacks, but I just need that space too. So like, we're in the same boat.
I am anxious for borders to open because you're like a hop, skip, and a jump from us. You can come up here. We can't come down there. Well, Martin can't. Yeah, I can, but you can't. But you can come up now.
I just heard on Monday they opened everything up. Yeah, well, I've got to go
Canada
to
opened to US, but US didn't open to Canada yet.
All the
right,
kitchen
which
girls
is
are like, yep,
hilarious
that's
because
kitchen girls.
why anyone would want to come here with everything going on is completely bananas, but whatevs. But yeah, no, I'm definitely going to be there. I love Canada. We must eat a lot of food, even Wonder Bars, and I need poutine.
You might have to give into a soy reaction for a Wonder Bar.
Ooh.
I'm gonna say it's probably worth it.
I mean, I might have to stay a few extra days, but it'll be worth it. I'll come through Buffalo.
Come to Buffalo,
That
yes.
is going to happen for sure.
Awesome.
Well, guys, thank you, Martin. I mean, so much fun as always. And Alex, we got to work on this T-shirt thing. I feel like this is an important thing for the children. And if you don't know what we're talking about, go back and watch the beginning of the show.
Just watch the replay. Yeah. It
was pre-power outage, pre-me sitting here in the dark like a weirdo. But everybody, thank you so much for joining us. And I just love this tonight. I love all the warmth and the joy. So, you know, we can't talk scary stuff all the time. Thank you for being a part of my smile for the evening.
Thanks, Misty.
Thanks, Misty.
All right. Good night.